Today is the World Coral Awareness Day 2022, and I want to welcome you to our event, Heart of the Ocean. My name is Claudia, and before we start, I want to say a big thank you to BWork, to the whole BWork team, for organizing this event today, especially to Jessica, who gave us such a warm welcome, I guess, 2 months ago, with all the planning, with all the things which we needed to do. And even today we arrived, and the plan was to do the presentation in a very beautiful place in the backyard, but unfortunately the rain started. So we moved into this place, and all together we moved all these gymnastic balls in the next room to make it a little bit cozy for you. Yeah? So before we start talking about the heart of the ocean, which are basically the corals, which are the base of the ocean, we want to take you to the small city we are living and we are working, and this is Padang Bai. Oh, I forgot to mention, if any one of you want to post something in the social media, we just put on here a hashtag, Heart of the Ocean. Would be nice if you just link this hashtag so we all can share our experiences from today. Padang Bai. Padang Bai is a small fishing village at the east coast of Bali in Karangasem. I don't know if any one of you have already been there. Somebody knows Padang Bai? Many of you, yes. Many of you might know Padang Bai as one of the main harbors for the ferries leaving to Lombok. You can see it here in the picture. This is the main ferry harbor. And also for the speedboats leaving to the Gili Islands, which is here in front, the little bit smaller harbor. And before COVID, I have to tell you, Padang Bai was flushed on a daily basis with thousands of tourists living to these party islands. And it was so busy on the streets, starting from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But beside this, we call it Gili tourism in Padang Bai. And when it's gone in the afternoon, Padang Bai is still a place where Bali is still Bali. It's a small fishing village. We have around 3,600 people living there. And it's a very private place. I mean, everyone knows everybody. So for me, it's sometimes very difficult if I want to go out for a private dinner. Impossible. Because everyone knows every time what are you doing and where are you going. So, but at a certain point, I like it. I decided already a long time ago that I will move to this place. I knew in what I was coming to, so it's okay for me. Padang Bai is very close to the ocean. You can see that the whole village ends up here at the ocean. And I basically live up on that hill. And each morning when I come down to my work, and I saw these mountains and this nature around Padang Bai and the colors of the ocean, it's every day just breathtaking. And the main income source in Padang Bai was and is the ocean. People were used to go fishing, to provide daily meals for their families, to bring their kids fish on their plates, or they sell the fish on the streets. With the incoming or upcoming tourism, I would say starting in Padang Bai around the year 2000, the income source stayed the same, the ocean. But the topic changed a bit. From the hard work of catching fish, people switched to bring out tourists to these wonderful places we have just in front of our door for snorkeling. Because nearly every single family in Padang Bai owns one of these traditional outrigger boats. So it's rather nice for them to bring the people out, showing them the wonderful dive sites and snorkeling sites we have in front of Padang Bai, than catching the fish. The diving industry increased. So in the moment, we have around 10 dive centers located directly in Padang Bai. But as you know, there are many more around Bali. And all these other dive centers are also bringing their guests to Padang Bai for diving because some of the world-famous dive sites are directly in front of our house, reachable in less than 10 minutes. So for us, it's an easy job. Our guests don't have to drive for hours. Yeah? We just go out with our small boats and show them the huge variety of the sea creatures we used to have in front of our doors. And this is the point where I come on the stage. My name is Claudia Koch. I'm an SSI scuba instructor. I'm a co-owner of my own dive center in Padang Bai, Waterworks Dive Center. And the first time I came to Padang Bai was already back in 1995. And you will believe it or not, but in 1995, I sat in a small bar, which still exists, and I told 5 different people many arguments while I will never go diving in my whole life. The next morning I woke up and I said, why don't we do a diving course? But at that time in Padang Bai, there was no diving industry. So we need to go to another place. So I came back on a yearly basis until I decided in 2013 to follow my passion, leave Germany, come to Padang Bai, and since 2013, almost close to 10 years, I live there. Work as a diving instructor, go out on a daily basis, and it's still my love, my passion, and it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. While bringing out guests daily for diving or while I'm teaching diving, which I always loved, I very, very slowly realized that there is a change in our ocean. There were places amazingly healthy, wonderful corals, huge stonefishes underneath. They were gone, broken. We were surrounded by fishes, by small fishes, by Nemos, by whatever, yeah? And I didn't even point them out while diving because there were so many of them. By now, it's a different thing. And at a certain point, I thought, wow, this change is non-stoppable. There is something what is going on which even gives me a very, very strange feeling about it. And you know, when it's your income source, and not even mine, in Padang Bai, around 90% of the whole village is depending on the ocean. Not only bringing guests out like for snorkeling trips or bringing guests out for diving. In Padang Bai, nearly the whole village is related to the ocean. Not only by fishing, even the guest house, the ticket sellers, everyone is at a certain point related to the ocean. So we depend on it. But, you know, guests are flying around the whole world to come to our place for diving, for snorkeling, whatever, and they expect this. They sit 20 hours in an airplane, and they want to see a beautiful, healthy reef underwater with a lot of coral fish around. But since the time changed, this is what they actually get. Dramatically, if you see that picture. And believe me, this is not only a picture from one place. Yes, there are still healthy corals, but these places are getting more. Damaged corals, crushed corals, just gray spaces with no fish around. People come and fly 20 hours in an airplane to be a friend of him. And even I said Nemo, but please guys, this is not Nemo. Nemo is coming from a movie, yeah? This is a common clownfish. And even if it's very sweet, take care of it, yeah? Because he's very, very protective for his home. And don't let him come too close to your mask. But anyhow, like I already said, before when I brought out students or guests for diving, I didn't even point out a common clownfish because we were surrounded by them. Or I can remember I had a guest from Germany, a diver with around 500, 600 dives, and we were diving at one of the local dive sites in Padang Bai, and I didn't even point out a mantis shrimp because we had a lot. You found so many during each single dive. And he saw it and he said, wow, a mantis shrimp. I said, yeah, well, they're around here everywhere. But they are not right now. So now I'm happy if I find a clownfish, if I find a mantis shrimp. And I'm pretty happy that I can show my guests something underwater. Because people come to enjoy this and find this instead. And this picture is from another dive site. But it's also just broken corals. There is no life anymore. The fishes are gone. We have still healthy corals in Padang Bai, like you can see on this picture here. Wonderful corals with all the reef fishes around. But while finding these places and diving with your guests, you have to tell them, oh, please, could you wait a moment? I just want to get the plastic out of the reefs. Yeah? And we all the time bring mesh bags to collect the trash which we find in the ocean and bring it back to the shore to be recycled. And if we are going ahead the way we are living in the moment, in 2050, there will be already more plastic in our ocean than fish. And all the reef fishes will lose their houses because the corals are their houses. And I'm pretty aware that here, also in Canggu, when you go in the morning to the beach, what do you find? A lot of trash, a lot of plastic waste. We too in Padang Bai. But we do not only find these plastic waste on the beaches, we even find it in the water. We find it on the reefs. We find it while diving. And currently, we have around over 5 trillion, I just need to read this number again, 5 trillion pieces of plastic in our ocean. Sorry, maybe you have a clue how many numbers a trillion is. I don't. The only thing what I know, it's a huge number. And we shouldn't continue like that. And each minute, and I'm not telling you, I'm not making any jokes, each minute while we are sitting here, an amount of another truck of plastic waste is entering our ocean. Each single minute. I don't know how long I'm already talking, but I guess it's already some trucks. Follow this idea. There is another point I need to emphasize it, even if I blame myself. But it's not only the trash. It's not only other threats I will talk a little bit further on about. It's also the diving industry, which is damaging the ocean. I don't know who these guys are you see on the picture. But when I saw that picture, I had in my mind, oh, nice, another 2 guys who just go down, descend, and want to make a selfie underwater to present it to their friends. I mean, the good thing on this picture, and believe me, there are other ones. These guys are not kneeing on the corals. They are in front. They're kneeing on a sandy place. But anyhow, you see the equipment, which is just hanging around, is not really stored nicely. Yeah? It's damaging and destroying the marine habitat. And this is one of the reasons why Waterworks and Livingseas, we focus on a very good diving education. We don't want our guests to destroy what they come to enjoy. But you see from time to time really scenarios underwater where you just think, wow, Should you go in between? Should you tell them that this is something we need to protect? So this is also a problem coming up. So you see there are problems in a row, and they're getting more. But the question is, why should we take care of it? Why should we really take care of the coral reefs? There are still some healthy ones, yes. But corals are the base of the ocean. If there are no corals, there are no fish. And let me emphasize this with a quote of Sylvia Earle, an oceanographer and a scientist. She said, when we have no water, which means the ocean, we will not have life on land. If we do not take care about our blue, what is the ocean, we will not have any green on Earth. So the four main reasons why we really should take care about our coral reefs are, first of all, they are a marine ecosystem. Like I said, it's very easy. No corals, no fish. We can really reduce it to that point. And this refers to everything what I said in before. 10 years, 15 years ago, I didn't even point out a Nemo. Because Nemo, the clownfish, still had a house. Now the houses are broken. Where should he go? Where should he live? The second part is corals are coastal protection. They form barriers to protect the shoreline. And I mean, this is something which we should all take care about, because we stay here all in Bali, we love to live close to the shore, yeah? But the weather increases. And with huge waves and floodings, and no corals who work as a coastal protection, houses will be damaged. The water will come up and destroy land. And there are so many examples here in Bali where you can see it. When you drive along the coast, or even in the Denpasar area, you still find houses. I mean, human houses. We're talking all the time about fish houses. You find human houses. They are decorated nicely with corals. So what did people do without knowing it? That corals are coastal protection. They take them out as building material, as a decoration material, yeah? And afterwards, they had a problem with erosion. And if you, for example, drive along the coastline at the east coast of Bali, there were, you can probably and clearly see it, clever villages. They put back, because the coral reefs are gone, big stones close to the shoreline to protect their villages. Mostly all the villages on the coast did it. But then some clever people from some villages, they said, well, we can make money from the stones, get them out. Yeah? And when you drive now along the street, along the shoreline, you can clearly say, okay, these guys, they sold the stones because the erosion is so high that the house is already damaged. They are in danger to break down. And then you turn around the corner, and the stones are still in, and they have a nice garden. So this is something what a lot of people don't have in their mind, that coral reefs function as a coastal protection. The third point is very easy to explain, food resources. Like I told you before, people are used to go out in the ocean. We live at the ocean. We all, or most of us, like to have a nice seafood dinner or a fish dinner or whatever, yeah. It's getting more difficult. And even now in Padang Bai, the fishermen are going out on a daily basis in the morning at 4 o'clock to get some fish. Not a huge amount, not an industry amount, yeah? Just for their families, to feed them, to serve a meal for their kids, or to sell the fishes. And I need fish on a daily basis because, but this is only a side story, I run a small rescue organization in Padang Bai, and I have 22 cats in my house, and it's very expensive to buy all the time these cans. Yeah? So I need fish to feed them. And you cannot imagine how often I go home with nothing in my hand. Because it's getting less on fish in the ocean. Before, 10 years ago, it was a daily routine. You go down to the beach, and there were sitting all the women from the fishermen with these big pots, and everyone was just running behind you. Claudia, buy the fish from me, buy the fish from her, whatever, yeah? But now, from time to time, I need to wait 2 or 3 weeks until I get my proper portion of fish. The fourth point is the economic value. This is clear. We are here as diving instructors. We run our dive centers, and not even us. The other people from Padang Bai, they also want to make the income while bringing out people to see the snorkeling sites, the turtles there. Yeah? If we don't have reefs, there is nothing to show. So, and without making now something like a dissertation about the global crisis we are living in, I just want to remind you and bring back up in our minds what are the problems we are facing. And these problems you find here on that slide, everybody knows. So I don't want to go very into detail. I just want to pick you up a little bit and remind you to the problems we have. The first is the threats to the corals are the global warming. We know that. We are in this global crisis. The temperature on Earth is rising. When the temperature on land is rising, the temperature in the ocean is rising. Corals don't like that. They feel very, very cozy when they have a temperature between 22 to 28 degrees. If the water temperature is going more up, due to our behavior as the human being, by producing a lot of carbon dioxide, burning fossil fuels, deforestation, whatever, yeah, it comes to a higher temperature in the ocean, and this leads to a bleaching of the corals. And this is what you see then as ghost cities underwater. Corals are white. The beauty of all the colors are gone. The second point is the ocean acidification, which also refers to the carbon dioxide level we produce. Because the water, the ocean, absorbs minimum 30% of the carbon dioxide we, as the world, produces. And when the carbon dioxide level on the Earth is rising, the carbon dioxide level in the ocean is rising. And carbon dioxide pulls down the pH level. And when the ocean has a decreased pH level, they cannot grow properly. They are too weak. They just break. And if you now think about the weather, the extreme weather, which is also a result of the global warming, and everybody knows that. I mean, how long is it ago? 10 years? That everywhere in the newspapers we were just reading something about El Nino, whatever, read something about the floodings worldwide, yeah? It all comes together, it plays together. And we end up in these global crises. And the last point is the pollution runoff. I mean, we talked already about the plastic waste. You see it here in Changhua, the beaches. We see it as diving industry, not only on the beaches, we also see it underwater. But this, what we can see, is the visible part. These are the straws. These are the styrofoam packages you can buy or you get when you buy. I never understand why people just ask for a food to buy and not ask for a kertas minyak, for a paper to wrap it in. No, they do not even ask, and they go back with this styrofoam cup. Or our sunlight, we wash the dishes with, yeah, the paper, the plastic paper around. Well, it ends up with your flip-flops. You can find flip-flops underwater. Many sizes. We always laugh and we say we should do a second-hand shop somewhere to just sell all these sandals we find. when we go out for diving. But this is still the visible part. What is much more dangerous is the invisible part. And when we talked about it, you can ask our team. I was sitting there in the evening and I said, oh gosh, I never thought about it. But this is the part what we all flush down in our drains. Who of you did ever wonder while walking in the night, in the evening, during a pouring rain along the street, and saw these nice funny bubbles coming out of the drains? This is our washing powder, our hair conditioner, even our makeup remover. Yeah? Everything enters the drain. What we basically cannot even see ends up in the ocean. From our drains, from the rivers. Or the next step is, how many tourists are coming to Bali to see the wonderful paddy rice fields? A lot. And they all make the pictures. And from time to time, and before I knew that, I was diving and then I thought, what is that? Why is the whole ground in the ocean covered with pink foam? Fertilizer. Fertilizer which is washed from the paddy rice fields into the ocean. And you can really see from time to time when they do the fertilization on the fields out. And since I know that it's not even a funny thing what comes on its own, and I know what it is, it makes me really rethink. Did I explain it dramatically enough? Hope I made you a little bit feel bad about the situation. Yeah? Because it's the same like I felt. This is me. When I got all this information and I got all this knowledge. You know these three guys, yeah? Cannot hear anything, I cannot see anything, and I cannot even or don't want to talk about it. So I ended up in a passive corner, sitting there. From time to time, you just sit with your friends in the evening and said, oh shit, sorry. You sit there, yeah? You have a beer, and you say, wow, today I was diving, and it was so incredible dirty, yeah? And even my guests, they had to descend, surrounded by plastic, and I could find the plastic until a depth of 3-4 meters. It was disgusting. And then you order another beer, and you go ahead with other gossip from the village. But the change, I realized, came slowly. But I didn't do anything because I had no idea what to do. And this is the side from a bule, living now since 10 years in Padang Bai. The interesting part would be, what does other people say? Born in Padang Bai, living in Padang Bai, educated, raised up in Padang Bai. Their family is still all in Padang Bai. The generations before in Padang Bai. And therefore, I want to ask two beautiful ladies to come in front. Arini and Gita, give them a warm welcome. To tell something about their impression.
Share our childhood story by then until now. So let's just get started.
Alright, when I was younger, I used to play on the beach. And the entire beach was my playground. Every day, I had to go deep in the water or play catch in the white sands. In the evening, I would sit at the end of the wooden dock, watching sunset with my friends, catching glimpses of the fishes in the crystal water, or just playing at the beach. And then, sea creature in the shallow water is now near impossible. Maybe I have to go diving far away to encounter them again. It's becoming a critical situation nowadays. Do you think so, Ali?
Yes, I totally agree with you. Back then, me and Gita usually playing at the beach and play and spend lots of time at the beach. Remember that, right?
Yeah.
And we play, we swim, and also we felt safe without worrying what is going to happen on the next. And also during the low tidal, me and my friends as well catch clams, fishes for our dinner. And having fresh fish and clams for dinner is a very luxury meal for me and my friends back then. By the time I grow up, I usually go to the beach just for relax and then enjoying the beach and also releasing all my stresses. And I'm pretty sure you do the same things in here living in Canggu. But I'm totally sad when the things happened recently.
So do I. I even cannot describe how I feel today when I see a lot of change happen to me.
Well, it's pathetic if I can say. The things that I see when I was younger, now all are almost gone. I don't know and I don't even can think how can I enjoy releasing all my stresses if all that I can see is plastic. And I'm pretty sure also if you're living in here, when you are going to the beach and trying to release all the stresses, all you can see also there's some rubbish and plastic there. Moreover, my friends and some of my families they rely on the sea for a living. And now when the fishermen coming back from the sea with the empty-handed is a very common sight for us. And I don't even can think if I married and I have kids. I don't know what I left behind for them. This world with fully of trash. We need to do something better for our future generations. If you have kids, I do believe that you're gonna feel the same way as me. So I'm going to hand it back to Claudia to explain what we have done in Padang Bayi to make things better. Thank you.
So, I'm pretty happy that it wasn't only me ending up in a passive corner. Despite I really feel bad about it, but like I said, we just ended up like that. And even Arini and Gita, they said, well, we realized that there was a change. It was different when we were kids. And even like Arini said, when it's going on that way, what should we explain our kids? But the thing was, we, all three of us, we had none idea. None idea what we can do. We are just a single person, what we should do. Should we go on the streets, make some flyers, ask our governments come into action? I did that when I was younger, but I saw no response. And then there was one guy, and he saw that, what was invisible to us. Let me introduce you to Leon.
Innovation is really key to any business because if you're not changing for just one of the others, and how then do you differentiate yourself from any other competitor that's out there? For us, I think our key point of differentiation is conservation. We believe it and act on it. Livingseas is a dive operation based in Singapore, Bali, and Jakarta. Livingseas focuses on best practices in diving, which differs from other realms of technical diving and cave diving.
I don't have my glasses, I don't see it. This one, okay.
And damage stuff that we fail to enjoy.
Should we play it again? What? Yes? Okay. But this is, I just tried to tell him, come in front, I do not wear my glasses, and then he took the other page.
I think innovation is really key to any business, because if you're not changing, you're just one of the others, and how then do you differentiate yourself with any other competitor that's out there? For us, I think our key point of differentiation is conservation. We really believe it and act on it. Livingseas is a dive operation based in Singapore, Bali and Jakarta. Livingseas focuses on best practices in diving, which we've taken from other realms of technical diving and cave diving. And we do this because it's important that divers dive better underwater so that we don't impact the reef and damage stuff that we take to enjoy.
So let me introduce you to a little bit into Leon's dive center, Livingseas. Livingseas has a great, great vision. And this vision, which nobody of us else had in before, was building up a thriving coral reef ecosystem on these places where he saw that they died. The mission is to do this not only alone, because when you do something alone, what is when you're not there? You need the local community to give them the possibility to maintain it, to be a part of it, to get the awareness that this is a very important work. So the vision is to build this reef. The mission is do it with involving the local community, giving them education in diving, in the global crisis threats to the ocean, so that they have and we have all together the possibility to do something together. Livingseas started already 1999 in Singapore. But it needed some other years until they decided to get in action with the conservation work. 2012, they moved to Bali, came also to the small village of Padang, and started not only with running a dive center, they went ahead with the conservation work. Small places before, the main income was the diving industry. And then COVID showed up. There was a lockdown. So they were the clever guys. They switched their focus from the diving industry, because we had no guests anywhere. Whole Bali was suffering. There is nothing what I had to add. But these guys just changed their focus. They said, well, when we don't have guests, then we focus on the conservation. And this was pretty clever, because I run a dive center also. And we were just sitting there and complaining about the situation, while these guys already started to do something. And since COVID started, these guys tripled the size of the stuff because they involved the local community. And they increased the existing reefs in a size of 10 times. Yeah? So this is something what I really said, why didn't we have the idea in before? Because we were sitting in our nicely cozy passive corner and had no idea what to do. Let me explain you a little bit about the goal, the target of these guys. I told you that I have no clue how many numbers is a trillion. But even 10,000 square meters is a number which is really, really big. But the target is to build up a marine ecosystem in a size of 10,000 square meters, living corals. The question is, you can say, oh, that's nice. It's really a nice goal. Yeah? But look at what we already did. So already more than 1,000 reef stars, I will come back to this later, what a reef star means, yeah, are planted. And this is equal to close to 700 square meters. I mean, okay, I have to admit it's not, it's just 10%, a little bit less than 10%. But imagine how much 700 square meters are. And now we translate the square meters into fragmented coral. They are already planted. And this is close to 20,000. So numbers cannot speak for themselves. So let me introduce you to the conservation site. This is a movie about the conservation site, which is located very, very close to the shore in Padang Bai. The site is named Bang Penyu. And there you will find these already 700 square meters planted and grown corals. You can see here these reef star structures. And the corals you can see here, they are, Leon, what would you say? They are freshly planted, around 2 to 3 months, something like that. But the main part of it, you should have a look at the biodiversity. I mean, this movie is already 3 to 4 months old. Today, it looks even better. There are fish around. From time to time, when we are planting, it's really nice. It's very meditating, yeah? I adore it, to be down and put on and plant the coral fragments on these metal structures. Here you can see the elderly corals. They are around a year old, 1.5. These are the oldest ones with around 3 years old. But you can't even see the structures down. There were fishes from time to time you plant. There's an octopus close to you. Cuttlefishes are back. And it's wonderful to do that work. And if you see the progress. The question is, how was I involved into this project? Sitting in my nice, cozy, passive corner. Well, I mean, I know Leon since years. We became friends. We often sit together, talked about things which are bothering us. And I have to admit, he's not very good in convincing. He's rather planting ideas. So I was complaining about the situation, blah, blah, and he just looked at me and said, well, join, come with me and I show you the conservation site. And I said, oops, you're planting corals? How does that work? I had no clue. So I joined. I went there. And here I am. And I'm really proud that I'm, since last year, one of the planting team members for this conservation site. And it gives me the idea that there really is something what you can do. Even when it's a hard work, and we'll come back to the sequences when we go for planting. But today I'm here and I'm speaking, and I'm very honored that it's me who is doing the presentation. Thanks to the whole team of Livingseas, and I hope I'm not disappointing you. But there is another part why I guess Leon didn't want to do the presentation on his own. It's not because he's just a lazy guy. If you do something individually, I don't know if you have this quote or this phrase here in Indonesia, but in Germany we say, doing something individually is just a drop of water onto a hot stone. It's away immediately. But if we do something together, if we are able to give awareness, if we are able to motivate other people following us, like he motivated me, and I joined, and I was overwhelmed about the project, then together we can restore an ocean, and together we can be an ocean. And therefore, no, not because he's just a lazy guy, he wanted somebody else to tell the information and give the presentation. So, Let me tell you a little bit about the project, the coral planting sequences. We need to stop the time a little bit because if I start talking about that, it will not have any kind of end. So I really need to focus myself. And I will not tell you about this each single step, what we are doing. I just try to reduce and focus on the main parts, okay? If anybody of you has later questions for the planting sequences, we are really, really enjoying it to answer all your questions you have. So for me, a main part in the sequences or the planting of the corals is, you saw in the movie that we plant on metal structures. And these are the so-called reef stars. But it's not only metal. There is a substrate on it. It's a mixture out of resin and sand, which helps the corals to really have like a natural foundation to grow. These reef stars we do where? In Padang Bai, together with the local community. So it's another part to get people into action. We produce it in Padang Bai. We bring the structures down, and then after we build a net before we start the planting, we get the corals. The question is where to get these corals from. But like I said, there are still healthy reefs in Padang Bai. You just need to know where. And then we go to a reef. Most are the acropora reefs, branching corals, and we just check if there is any damage on the edges, broken corals. They are still alive. They just broke down. You really have to take care not to touch the healthy part of them, the living part. But you will find a huge amount. And this was one of the points for me why I really adore this project. What we are doing is multiplying nature. We rescue corals which are in need for help. They are not strong enough anymore, they break down, so we collect them. Then we put them into boxes, bring them up to the boat, drive them to our conservation site. Like I told you, everything is really close in Padang Bai, so the corals are on the boat maybe for 10 minutes. And even on these 10 minutes, we have to water them because they don't like the sun and the air. So we water them, bring them back down again, cut away the dead parts or the algae parts, whatever, fragment them into smaller pieces, like around 10 centimeters, and then we just plant them on the metal structures. We plant them in the moment with cable ties. You can say now, plastic. Yeah, it is plastic, but there is in the moment no other solution for it. And the good thing of the cable ties is you can, after the corals are strong enough, remove it and bring it back to the surface. Yeah? And this is even also a very important part. We tidy up the site when we finish the planting. Because let me say we plant in one day around 3 dives. So we start in the morning at 8, we finish around 3 o'clock, go down 3 times, whatever. There is a lot of reef stars we plant, around 30, sometimes 40 reef stars in one day. But then there is a lot of excess cable ties. So we clean up the conservation site. We cut everything up and we have small mesh bags, put everything in, bring it up to the boat and recycle it. That nobody tells us, hey, you're using plastic? What are you going to do with that? We bring it up, we recycle it. We are not going to leave it down. And the next very important part is the maintenance part. Corals need our help even when they are tiny. So we need to brush the structures to avoid pests or algae coming up. We need to check, are some corals loose? If they are loose, if they have a problem, if they are not alive, we remove them and plant new. Because what we learned is we need really density. You want to build houses for the fishes. And they like cozy places. And after we did that all, and the maintenance we really do in a time frame from every 10 days to 2 weeks. You have to go down to brush, to clean a little bit. But beside the maintenance, before we finish our diving day, we put on a bamboo shield. because a lot of people helped us creating that reef and sponsored one of these reef stars. So we plant them under their name. And they get a monthly update where they can see, oh, this is my coral. Okay, I didn't plant them on my own, but I get an update per month. How are my corals doing? Are they alive? Have they grown? So this is the main process we are running through when we are planting. The question is, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So, I mean, of course there are lessons learned. It was a trial and error. But every single one of us should be able to learn. Doesn't matter how old we are. If we stop learning, we will fall. And so even us, we learned. And the main things we learned while doing these projects is corals are amazingly resilient. I mean, just think about how long these animals, we are not talking about rock formations, we are talking about living beings, are on our planet. And we are working really hard to take everything from them. But they're still here. They're still here. And what they need is a little bit help from us. So, and this is what I love on this project, these multiplying nature thing. You just go and check out which coral is broken, which you can easily collect, and replant it. Give him a second chance for life. And it's so adorable if you see how they take this chance. The second point is what we learned as well. One of the most important factors why planting corals is you have to take care that you have a density of the coral cover. Avoid empty places. Corals are when they live together in a win-win situation. Yeah? Hey, it comes together with even nutrition they need. Yeah? And as closer they are, as faster they grow, and as faster these are new houses for the fishes. Very important part. So avoid having holes or whatever between the web you are planting. Maintenance, very critical. I already emphasized it. And the maintenance, looking for the corals we freshly planted, is the most important thing. You can compare it to the situation that you have a baby. If the baby is still small, okay, let me say like this, it needs your attention. You have to feed it, you have to change the pampers, you have to do all these things, and you have to get up in the night. When the kids grow older, you are happy to see them even one time per day, maybe on dinner. But it's the same with the corals. The freshly planted corals, you have to take care of them. You have to give them the chance that they really can stay healthy and that they grow. The second part of this, I'm pretty sure that some of you might have a garden in the house. Some of you maybe tried to plant vegetable. I did it. But I'm not really good in vegetable planting, maybe because I did too less maintenance. So the only thing what is basically growing in my garden is cabe. I tried it with everything else, but maybe I did too less maintenance. Yeah? So it's the same like gardening. When you just plant a little eggplant or a little tomato, you have to take more care about it than when it's already big. For us, a main part, what we learned is be nice to the corals. I mean, I don't know if you're the same way crazy like me, but I can remember that back when I still lived in Germany, and you know we have there, can you imagine you cannot have the idea, but we have really plants in pots inside the house, because outside there are too less. And we say, talk with the plants. They like it. My husband always replies, be aware if the plant gives you an answer, then something is wrong. But in anyhow, we just try to spend time with them. Even the site where the conservation site started has a good water flow. A water flow is bringing you nutrition. Just imagine you would plant anything in a lake. No water movement at all. Not good. Yeah? On the other hand, sometimes it's really nice, yeah, when you have to plant corals at a place where you have a good water flow, because this needs current. And we can tell you so many really funny stories why team members of us were flying away while holding the boxes, yeah, because they just didn't hold on the line. But we need this water flow, because the corals need the water flow. The same like we learned that if you plant corals at a depth around 10 meters, they like it. The same way like we like it. We live here on Bali, we love the sun. We love the sunlight, and corals love it as well. So the corals in the shallow area, they grow faster because they have more sunlight, which doesn't prevent us for plant as well in 50-meter depth. But we have to have a little bit more patience because there is less sunlight. So at least what we try in deciding the place, how to plant, even the efforts we do due to the currents, we all do it to keep our corals happy. And provide the fishes their houses.
Are the base of the ocean. There are no fish, there is no coral. It's just like this. If you have an open piece of land in the middle of nowhere, nobody is going to set up a house there, build a family there. It's not going to happen. It's just an empty piece of land. But then when we have a developer come in to look at this land and say, hey, that's a good place to build something. And they build a town, they build amenities, they build houses. Then people can move in and start families and live their life there. And it's kind of the same thing underwater. We have this barren, sandy patches where no coral will grow. And what we are trying to do is to provide these houses for coral. And the coral in turn provides housing and safe havens for fish. For me, it's always the life. Every surface is covered with some form of life. And then there's fish around you, there's corals all over, and it's really great.
And if you see that it's possible to even build houses in an area like a desert, you just need some people to have the idea, to get the clue, to do something. You build up at a place which is not really a good surrounding for life on Earth, but you can do it. And you build then houses for families, for kids. And then this place comes into health. And this is the same thing what we are doing at the conservation site in Padang Bai. So the question is, no, not now the question is. What we want to show you is, we have turned in Padang Bai places like this. This is 3 years ago at Baung Penyu in Padang Bai. It was a desert, like you saw in the movie. And that you can easily recognize the next picture, please have in mind these rocks. Because we have in less than 3 years turned this into this. And that is the same place you can see on these rocks. And it's really like I told you before, it's so nice if you're down there, you plant, you're meditating, whatever you do. It's so meditating that from time to time you even forget to check your air consumption, yeah? And somebody has to come and say, hey. But it's fun when you see that there is an octopus close to you. And they're very curious. So they come out with their head, with the big eyes, and you think, oh, hi guy, you found a new home? Nice. So this is what we have done. This is what we're still doing. And the question is, how can you be a part of it? How can you participate in the projects we're doing? And it doesn't matter if you live close to the ocean or not. With all the things I try to explain you, you should understand that it doesn't matter if you live wherever you live on this planet. The ocean is something what we need to take care of. And the corals are the base of the ocean. If there are no corals, there are no fish. I told him in before, when you say something to the participation pathways, you should come up, bring me a flower bucket, and say, thank you, Claudia. But he told me in before, oh shit, I forgot the flower bucket. I said, doesn't matter.
It was raining.
It was raining.
But what a great talk by Claudia, right? Well done. So, like she said, I'm not very good at convincing. I hope she's done all the convincing. Now I just need to ask. So a couple of ways, right? I think now that you've learned all of that stuff, right, from Claudia about what we do and what we've done in Padang Bai, I think now the idea is how can more people be involved? Because we want to scale the project, right? Not just for us, but it's for Padang Bai, it's for the reef, it's for the ocean, right? It's for the food and the fish to come back, for everything. Yeah. So how can more people be a part of it? I think that's the question. So the big ask here, how can you individually? One of the things is we're looking at doing a monthly subscription whereby you purchase a Reef Star each month. And I think what I want to relate that to, and why you want to do that, is coming back to the maintenance. Like Claudia mentioned just now, the maintenance is critical to the reef. You wouldn't have a baby and just leave it, right? But a lot of projects that you see are very focused on that one and done. You create a project, but then there's no long-term plan behind that on how do you maintain. And like we're talking about animals here, right? We're not talking about plants where you can just leave. Even plants, even your garden, you do need to maintain it, right? So the same thing here, nature needs a little bit of help just to get going for that first few months, yeah? So the subscription helps us to do that, helps us to keep diving, keep going down, and keep checking on the site, yeah? That's one way we can do. Another way, and this is particularly for people here in B-Work, right, members, is collaboration. You know, for people who, you know, may not dive, but you run a digital agency, you know, something where we can collaborate on, you know, something we can learn from, something we can plan for you, something like a CSR, any kind of collaboration, we're very open to that. Like Claudia mentioned, it's not just about us, right? We don't want to do things individually. I mean, this is for Bali. And if you've come to Bali, if you love Bali, then let's try to make Bali a better place together, yeah? So, but there's more, right? Another big thing we want to do here, right? Livingseas is also, has been doing this for a while, right? But we also want to basically put our money where our mouth is, right? So we want to start this where we do a dive one, give one. So any person who dives with us or does a course with us from now until the end of the year, we're going to plant one Reef Star for you. So for those of you who dive with us before, next time you come diving with us, right? No extra, right? Just come diving with us. We're going to record that, right? We're going to get you, we're going to plant a Reef Star for you in your name the next month. Right? So just by diving with us, you can do a little bit of contribution back to the ocean, right? All you do is enjoy yourself. We do the hard work the next month, right? But that's the whole idea of Dive One, Give One. Even if you're not a diver and you want to learn how to dive, same thing, we'll do that for you. I mean, if you want to, we can also do it together, you know, once you can dive, yeah? So, yeah, that's my big ask, you know. And yeah, back to Claudia.
And we are already at the end. We are in time. I just checked. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for not getting too bored listening to me. And I want to end this presentation with another quote from Sylvia Earle, a woman I really appreciate. And I don't want to read, you can read on your own. But the fact is, why did we have the idea to make this event today? Let me come back to my situation when I told you I was sitting in the passive corner. Why did I end up in the passive corner? Because I had no idea. And Sylvia Earle says, what you need to do is giving knowledge. If people don't know what they can do, they do not have the choice to say, okay, I want to join or not. So our mission today was give you the choice by giving you the knowledge. And the choice can be, like Leon said, subscribing, participating, collaborating, coming for a dive, or spread the word. Because what we're doing from our heart. It's not our main income source. It's just that what we love to protect, we want to protect. And everyone has the choice to do that. So to keep you that in mind, we prepared something for you. We prepared a small bamboo tag for every one of you, where you can read our logo from today, Together We Can Be an Ocean. The link to the conservation site of Livingseas. And this is a bamboo tag, what we normally put on the planted reef stars, in that case with your name on it. And I have to say it's a wonderful idea, and just to give you another example, after I started already in joining the planting, I showed up with the idea to sponsor reef stars in the name of my father, of my stepfather, my stepmother, because they died. And they died back in Germany. But I live in Bali, and I have no place to remember them. And for me, as already half Balinese, for me it's normal that you end up in the ocean. And even when corals are the heart of the ocean, I anyway lost mine in the ocean as a dive instructor. So why shouldn't I have a place to remember my beloved ones? And it's so nice on even planting day when I go down and I brush my bamboo tag and see the name of my father, and it's still a place to have him around me. So bring this bamboo tag home to have this event from today in mind. And Arina and Gita will give it to you before you leave. And there is another thing what we wanted to give you. We were talking about the problem of the plastic waste, and that every single one of us can do something in his private household. You do not have to make a flyer and ask our politicians to do something, it will last years. And therefore, we brought you a nice small idea. This is a small sack for a soap. And it's very cheap. You just have to buy for 2,000 block sabun, put it in the sack. It's a natural material. You don't have to buy any plastic bottle with the conditioner or a soap anymore. And this is also a present for you. Try it out. It's also appealing, ladies, if you wash yourself with it, yeah? So please be welcome and take the incentives with you home. And I guess one of us will already have I have to say that, yeah, the computer alive to, if one of you want to register right now for Reef Star, you can do it even right now before you leave. So before I want to invite you to discuss some things, or if we can answer some questions for you, I want to say a big thank you from my side. And thank you for being here. And please, if we can answer any questions, let us hear. If not, then let us have a drink. Raise our glass to the ocean, to the corals. But I guess there might be some questions. So please.
I might miss this part because I left for the toilet before. If you don't dive and you just want to buy a star, can you do that?
Yes, of course. It doesn't matter where you live on this planet, yeah, you just can subscribe for Restart and we do the planting. Absolutely not a problem, and you get a monthly update, you get an email where you get pictures about the corals we planted under your name, and it's nice. I get these also.
You can just go to the website, the first one there, conservation.livingseas.asia.
Yeah, here you can find the examples also.
I don't have a question actually, but hi everyone. Thank you for the nice presentation, Claudia and Leon.
She did all the work.
Quite eye-opening for us. But, have you all seen Finding Nemo?
Yes.
Did anyone cry? You did? Did you like the movie?
Oh yeah.
Did you cry?
Oh.
Your Finding Nemo made us cry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Then, if that movie made us cry, then this one should make us like weep. So maybe you should change that title to Will We Ever Find Nemo Again? Thank you for the good work and for giving us such inspiration to what we can do next. Thank
Are you going to make some new conservation site, or is it just the same one you're going to keep expanding?
No, let me answer this. So right now, we have our main site. We actually started in a site called Mimpang about 4 years ago. And that one, I mean, is the place that's got really good water, so we thought we'd start there first. And we found that we wanted to try out this methodology. And it turns out that it worked really well. But the currents were really strong because the water is really good, like she mentioned just now. So we decided to shift and open up a second site. And that's the Baung Penyuh one that you saw just now, that long video. Since then, we've got a few partners now. Handprint is one, TUI is one, a big travel group from Europe. So they have their own sites as well. So we have our own section that's going pretty much right to left. And then their sites are next to it, adjacent to ours, going right to left. Was it the other way around? Left to right. Yeah, it's going the other way. So we're expanding on both sides, so to speak. Yes.
You've shown us the images of like a 2-year-old coral before that. Like, at what age are they like mature, or what's the? I'm just curious. Like,
so how the process works, it's like if you imagine a tree, right? A normal tree transplanting, I think, is kind of the same process that we use. So if you cut off a branch and you put it somewhere else, that branch will eventually branch out into more branches. So it's kind of the same process. We take a piece of coral and we break it up into about roughly this size. And then we attach it onto the reef star, right? That branch will eventually grow other branches. Right. Yeah, they just keep growing. Basically, that's why we say corals are resilient. They just keep going. Like some kind of alien thing, just keeps growing, never ending. Then we break them again and we plant them again and they keep on growing still. You know, so I can't really say how old a particular coral is because we're taking it from nature. Like she said, multiplying nature. We don't have a nursery system in place because, you know, they just keep on growing. The ones you saw just now, I think the first part of that video would have been, a couple of months, maybe 1 month. And toward the middle of the video, that's our oldest section, about 3 years. And then further on at the end of the video, that's probably about 1 year. It's been 1.5 years since we started scaling this. So the old ones are, you know, there's a bit of a gap. Yeah, that's why there's a difference in size. Any other questions? Yes?
Is there like an environmental agency that you have to coordinate with on choosing sites that you're allowed to do, or is it just your own decision on, oh, this has good water flow and nutrients in this area, and you can do that?
So, generally speaking, there's no particular regulation in Indonesia where pertains to coral conservation. So there's no zoning in fact, at least in our area. There are areas that are marine protected areas that we are not supposed to do stuff, but in Padang Bai, there isn't any. So we've spoken to the village head, he's given approval for it, but this does not come down from the government. Yeah. So as far as we know, it's fine. We are also part of groups of other coral rehabilitation, Coral Triangle Center, which governs this kind of stuff. We're in that group as well, so they know we exist. The government knows we exist, but because there's no regulation to control, we're kind of allowed to do it. Because we're doing it not for profit. We're not doing it in a way where we're growing corals to export. In that sense, then yes, you need licenses for that. But for what we're doing now, it's all good so far.
Good. No red tape.
Yes, Natalie.
Is the, what's it called, the starting? Is that like commonly used, like kind of technology by a lot of coral restoration groups, or did you guys develop that?
Good question. That did not come for us. I wish I was that smart. But it started out because I started researching into coral rehabilitation kind of like late 2000s, 09, 08. And one of the things that I started learning was this BioRock system, which is electricity, and it's very well known in the media. So where you apply electricity and it secretes this calcium carbonate that allows coral to supposedly grow faster. So I learned about that first. And then moving on, this was actually created by Mars, the Mars candy bar, Snickers, This was one of their projects, CSR projects for the ocean. So they developed this. And I learned about this in 2017. And the idea is that instead of using electricity to precipitate the calcium carbonate, which is the substrate that corals like, you're actually putting it on directly using resin and sand. So instead of wasting electricity to do it, we do it manually first, and then we put the corals on, which the corals seem to like because it's a very rough surface. Now, not a lot of people are using this methodology as of now. There are about 6 other sites in Bali that are doing it. There's a very big one in Makassar that's owned by Mars themselves. But across Indonesia, that's as far as I know. Not so many people are using this particular methodology. So yeah. Hope that answers the question. Yes?
First of all, thank you so much for sharing this really inspiring. I'm really grateful to be attended to this event. As I know, you guys living in Padang Bay, which is really close by the harbor. And in the harbor has a lot of ferry and boat, which is like, if it's more traffic, it's going to be more anchor, maybe destroyed for the coral. So like how big is the impact nowadays when Bali is like getting more busy and then the traffic is getting more? Is it like destroying everything?
Let me go back to the slide with Padang Bay. I guess this should help to explain a little bit about the situation. So this is Padang Bay. As you can see, the main ferry harbor where the big ferries are leaving to Lombok, there's a straight out of Padang Bay, and they don't come close to the diving sites. So the ferry boats are, yes, of course, there might be something be destroyed close to the harbor area at the main pier. Yeah? But when they are out of that line, they are not destroying while anchoring or something else, the dive sites. There might be another problem with the fuel or something like that. A bigger problem are the speedboats here, because they park also here in that area. And before we had that speedboat traffic, and before there wasn't as much speedboats bringing tourists to the Gilis, there was, like Gita Narini said, a wonderful underwater life here already in that bay. This is gone, and it says, I'm 100% sure this has something to do also with this Gili traffic. The small outrigger boats, there is a commitment in Padang Bay, even at the diving sites, that it's forbidden to throw an anchor. Yeah? It happens from time to time. And it's a very weird situation, because sometimes then the captain of the boat, is complaining and it's an arguing, whatever. But I have to say, we bring this anchor up, or twice, we just cut it in to make them learn. But there is a destruction of it, yes. And even from time to time with moorings, and this is the bigger problem, the boats, they park on the moorings, yeah? But these moorings are only for the small outrigger boats. They cannot destroy anything, even when the wave is coming. But from time to time, bigger diving boats are parking there as well, and they're using the same line. And they are heavy. And then you can see really like the cement blocks were lifted up, yeah, and you see a damage from that, yes. But it's also just giving the knowledge. You have to tell people that this happens if they behave like that. But it's really, yeah, it's a discussion. But it is the way why I also emphasize it's not only the threats which are from outside, it's also us. And we have to be aware of that. And this is why we really train and work on really good education, and that we involve the masyarakat, that we work together with the local community. Because it doesn't help if we are running around as bullies and telling everybody, this is good, behave like this, behave like that. No, we cannot do that if we do not involve the community. They need to see it, and they need to help to maintain it. This understanding we need to reach. Chris, I'm still waiting to one of your naughty questions, but oh, good, okay. Okay. Any other questions? If not, then I would say let us have a drink. And we still have time, we still will be here. There is Abe in the back. Abe, say a nice hi. Hi. He can answer your question as well. There is Arini, there is Gita, even Chris, the naughty guy who has promised me to, is here and he can tell something about it. And there is Leon and there is me. So please be welcome. Let us have a drink together and end this nice afternoon with that. Again, thanks to B-Work. I don't know who is there in the moment from B-Work. It was amazing how fast and spontaneous you organized everything for the inside. Thank you.
Of course, okay. Thank you everybody for coming. Okay, let's drink.
No, let's do this with the.
Yeah. Leave the slide on.
Yeah.